Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to my thoughts on alien and UFO disclosure. Now, for quite some time, we've all been trying to get information out of our respective governments about what they have for information on UFOs and aliens, etc., etc. And all the information we seem to get compiled together has got a lot of stuff blacked out for some reason. So much for the Freedom of Information Act. And whatnot. Now, of course, U.S. citizens had asked Obama about, the truth about UFOs and aliens. He hasn't done a damn thing, has he? And it could be for many reasons. Maybe they didn't brief him on it. Maybe he knows and can't say anything. Who knows, right? But we do have a few presidents who have had some close encounters and whatnot, as it's been said. And, they've talked a little bit about it. Even Ronald Reagan, had mentioned that, in the event of an alien invasion, we would actually all probably band together to fight off the alien invasion. Although I think it would be kind of pointless to try and fend off an alien invasion, because obviously they're more superior than us. And so they'd probably kick our ass and, that'd be it, right? So anyway, some of my thoughts about this is, what's got me curious is we're asking for information that's nothing more than mere documents, possibly some photos. Of course, nobody to date that I'm aware of has gotten their hands on any photos or any video interviews with aliens, and nobody's got any proof for documents of any kind of proof of ETs being here, let alone the UFO thing, where there's confirmed actual real alien craft flying around our night skies. Of course, we do have a lot of opinions on the internet of people who feel that, we would not be bothered with at this point in time. We're too primitive yet still, or too barbaric, or, there's about a million different excuses why these individuals are saying that, ETs wouldn't have anything to do with us. However, let's think about a few things for a minute, shall we? Let's take a look back in history to the Bible, for instance, the book of Ezekiel, where it speaks about, in this story, about Ezekiel and the fiery chariot. Funny, nothing flew back then except birds. This chariot comes out from the heavens, from the night sky, or day sky, whichever it may have been, but it comes from the heavens, lands, some creatures come out, they're on platforms that have like really cool wheels on them. They also have a multitude of faces, so that any direction in which they wish to go, to them, they would be going forward, right? Kind of cool. It's kind of handy, I guess, having four faces, anyhow, so they hang out with the local town folk where they're at, and of course Ezekiel's there. And when it came time for them to leave, Ezekiel willingly left with them and walked up into the chariot, and they of course headed out back to the heavens, as the story goes, and with a flame shooting out the back end of this chariot. Now, these were creatures that were said to be angels or messengers of God. Now, anybody who knows and understands Christianity, the Bible, God, the devil, the whole nine yards, would understand and know right away that there's something wrong with this program, because the Bible is very specific that we don't fight against flesh and blood, but we fight against powers and principalities and spirits. So we're on a spiritual plane in our relationship or our walk with God, and when it comes to the devil and his little demons, that's all spiritual too. You don't see little demons coming out of the cemeteries or the ground in your backyard, walking around in flesh and blood wanting to do some damage to you, do you? No, of course not. It's all on a spiritual plane. So on a physical plane, we have a story whereby a chariot, as they called it, has come down from the heavens, spent some time with the local folks, left with one of those local folks, being Ezekiel. He was never seen or heard from again. Now, in my opinion, honestly, that to me reeks of, spaceship, aliens, okay? Now, it is quite feasible and possible that nobody would be afraid of these people, for the simple fact that because they believed they were messengers of God or angels sent by God, there would be no reason to be afraid of them. In fact, they would be worshiping them, right? Interesting. Now, you're talking about a civilization who back then had very little to no education at all. In fact, most people had none. The only education that was around was actually left for the higher ups, and reserved for people like pharaohs and queens and, so on and so on, the very well off. So the lower class people, or peasants, or very poor, would not have the advantage of getting an education, or not much of one anyway. So this is going back thousands of years. Of course, in many other cultures around the world, we know, and we've been finding out, that archaeologists have been digging up a lot of interesting artifacts from many different cultures around the world, and they've been also noting, different types of drawings into stone or paintings, that sort of stuff, pottery, with representations of their alleged gods or deities or visitors, period, that take the form of what we know of, for instance, as the Greys or the Reptilians, or you've got many others out there. And of course we have talk on the internet about the Nordics and a few others. Moving to the next stage, there's also a picture, I believe it is, or some sort of a artwork of Jesus with these two chariots, as they would have called them back then, which are also, we call them, of course, spacecraft, because when you look at them, there's a little person in each one, flame shooting out the back, looks like a little joystick controller. Hey, there's no horses, right? But there is, what appears and has the shape of what? A rocket or a craft of some sort. That's not a chariot. We all know that chariots have wheels and are hauled around by, aka people or horses, one of the two, right? So anyways, so that's another little bit of, if you want some evidence there, that may be some substantial evidence with just those two alone. You've also got astronomers in the last few hundred years who've seen stuff up the night skies that there's just no explanation for it. I mean, a couple hundred years ago, we didn't even have airplanes, okay, or anything that flew other than air balloons. Okay, so, and air balloons only go to a certain altitude, and they don't do funny racing around the sky and glowing lights of different colors and all this sort of stuff. No, hey, that's usually reserved for what? The ETs, right? Now, why would ETs have anything to do with this period? Well, maybe they felt and thought that when they come around our neighborhood that we just seem to be a little too far behind, and they thought they'd help us out, and have been ever since. And I really believe that that's true. And, that crash in Roswell, New Mexico, to me, that was no accident having that happen. That was just a furtherance of, it's time to really start doing stuff, because we hadn't really been doing much. The advancements we had even previous to Roswell, even 100 years previous, 50 years previous, 44 years previous. Okay, we had just had the Wright brothers do a decent flight in 1903, for instance. Okay, they worked on airplanes for a long time before they finally got one half decent flight, and then it slowly started to take off. Well, since Roswell, look what's happened. It's gone completely nuts out here. We have very, very fast aircraft. Our space program ends up getting on the ground. We're apparently shooting off into the moon. We've got life support systems to be able to do that with. We have life support systems within suits that are actually can handle outer space atmospheric conditions. Well, not really atmosphere, but the radiation, the cold temperatures, hot temperatures, etc. With no hassle whatsoever, and you can walk around and breathe for a while in those suits before you'd have to get back into your lunar module and get yourself back to Earth. And so we've had these advancements just going crazy. We didn't even have TV until the 50s. Our automobile industry had a sudden takeoff, and some really cool stuff came out of that. Our technology for vacuum tubed radios and the vacuum tube TVs didn't take much longer after this Roswell incident before we had solid state sets for radios and televisions, and among other things that we had. So it just keeps compiling, right? And Everything's getting better and better and better and better and better. And, you know, radio-controlled airplanes, radio-controlled helicopters, radio-controlled cars, musical instruments. The technology in music just went phenomenally nuts, especially with the electric guitar and the sound effects pedals that we've been able to create. You know, and technology just got smaller and smaller and smaller as far as the circuits went. You know, I myself have an electronics background, and you know, when I started messing with electronics, I'd already been working with very small circuits, but I'd also had a chance to learn about and play with vacuum tube technology and seeing just where things basically started to where they were at that time to where they are now. And I still mess around with electronics quite a bit, and I'm just totally dumbfounded and amazed at how everything has been so just shrunken down, right? It's just phenomenal in such a very short time. I mean, you may not think that 67 years is a short time, but if you look at that in a calculation of days, it's only a little over 24,000 days since the Roswell incident. And of course, we've got cellular technology for our cell phones that came out, I believe it was around the 80s for us. And you know, apparently there's some documentation on the internet saying that the military had cell phones in the 50s. Okay, a couple years after Roswell, they got cell phones. Okay, we just get TV sets. We don't even have a nice phone in our house, and they got cell phones. Thinking there's something up there, you know, something to think about. Okay, and we know, of course, how good, you know, the military and the higher ups and the CIA and the NSA and all them are really good for hiding stuff, right? Look at the spy technology, for instance, spy cams and all sorts of little gizmos they use. And you know, we got so much better at making firearms too. NASA, or I believe it was NASA, that came out with that one plane, anyway, somebody did, that went like 4,600 miles per hour. Okay, like that is like phenomenally fast, and the pilot could fly that without, you know, getting his face sucked into the other end of his head. You know, so there's some serious technology in this thing, and this is like years and years and years and years and years and years and years ago. Okay, a long time ago. And I believe the fastest one they got right now that's in service, because apparently they stopped flying that one, is the story anyway. Where'd that technology come from, I wonder, way back then, okay? But anyways, now the fastest one I believe in service is either 26 or 3,600 miles per hour. And that's pretty damn fast still. You know, I mean, I've driven a car at like about 180 miles an hour, and you know, to me that's kind of, you know, getting a little dicey. You know, can you imagine going like thousands of miles per hour in an airplane? You know, and very little at that in size in comparison. Not to comparison to a car, but you know, but I mean, even our fastest regular jetliners, commercial jets that people fly for hauling people around, you're only talking like 500-600 miles an hour top end maybe. At 36,000 feet, you know, so that's kind of crazy speeds when you factor that in, about 5 times faster even for what we got flying right now, never mind that 4,500 mile an hour jet that they had. So it starts to make you wonder and think, and you know, if you don't question technology, you're not going to really know what's going on or even consider what could be going on. Like, how did we all of a sudden, even if you were to be nice enough to say since 1900, get so damn smart so fast? And then yet for thousands of years previous, we really didn't get very far, okay? Like, let's face it, cars haven't really been out for, you know, all that length of time. And look at the cars that are out, especially the exotic stuff, right? Television, cellular technology, radios, FRSs, GMRSs, you know, just everyday stuff that we have around our house that we use, our computers, everything just boom, 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 boom. And now we got smartphones and tablets, and hardly anybody's using their computers at home anymore. Why bother? You got a smartphone that's everything your computer is and more, right? And same with your tablet, it's the same thing. You know, it's like, so computer sales are actually suffering right now apparently too, from what I've found out. But when you start looking more and more into this, you start wondering, like, where is this technology coming from? How are we getting this smart, this fast, right? And what's going to happen in another 10 years down the line? What's going to happen in another 5 years down the line? You know, and they're talking now about these contact lenses that you can wear that can do your email and all this crap, right? So you'd be like blinking your eyes and whatever you do to run these things. Of course, cars, of course, will have to be having to be able to drive themselves. So unless you have a car that can drive itself, you won't be wearing these things while driving. It's bad enough people still talking and texting on cell phones while driving, and accidents get caused and people get killed. Can you imagine trying to, you know, write your essay with your eyeballs, and you know, you got this interface in your face, you know what I mean, and you're not seeing what's in front of you, you know, so you're going to need a car that drives itself. So that apparently is in the works too. So within the next 8 to 10 years, all this technology apparently is going to be released to the world. And yet nobody questions this stuff, like how, why, you know, like what's the behind on all this, right? So you got to kind of wonder. Advancements in medical, every part of science you can think of, which includes medical. Advancements in, oh God, you name it. It's just too much, you know, and nobody questions anything. And you wonder why. Back in the 80s, I remember the announcement made on TV and radio about, you know, for everybody to hold on to their little bobby socks, because everything that they know of is going to change, and everything in science and technologies and blah 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 is just going to just expand like massive, like boom. And of course, guess what happened? It did, and it still is. I mean, you can go buy a computer today and literally tomorrow that thing is obsolete. You know, so it almost makes the whole purchasing thing kind of redundant. You might as well wait an extra week. You know, I just made my new computer purchase 2 months ago, and already it's like, it came with Windows 7, now they got Windows 8 coming out. It's like, and all the new computers are going to have Windows 8. Now if I want Windows 8, I got to go spend a couple $100 and buy Windows 8. You know, because by the time my computer's paid off, it's probably going to be at the point where they got like Windows 10 or 11. You know, I mean, 4 years is 4 years. But the point is, technology is moving so fast, it's just crazy, right? So it's something I'd like to challenge you guys to think about, like really, you know, and not enough people are really asking the right questions. So let me ask you this. If you're going to keep going after paperwork and photographs and film, are you going to be satisfied with the results if they actually give you what you want? Are you going to take that at face value, saying, okay, that's the truth and that's all there is to it? Or would it not be a much nicer idea to say, we would all like to meet these ETs? That, to me, is concrete evidence. Because if you look at this from a realistic standpoint, let's look at the Bible. It's been around for thousands of years, right? I'm not getting into the creation of the universe, so I don't even want to have a debate with anybody. But it is the best-selling book of all time. But that book is something that each individual has to accept as being 100% proof unequivocally, okay, by faith. It's all about faith, right? Now, when it comes to the world, for instance, are you going to read all that paperwork, look at those pretty pictures, maybe some footage if you can get your hands on it, and say, I accept this at face value, that this is factual and true because my government's telling me it's true? Let me think for a second. Think about this. They're already hiding the stuff as it is. So they're being, what? Bunch of liars? Manipulators? You really think they're going to tell you the truth now? I mean, honestly, you know? Now, let's go into another little stage. Let's talk about alien invasions, all right? Now, there's been some videos on the internet about alien invasion or possible alien invasion. Nobody can predict this crap, okay? That's guaranteed number one. Just like nobody can predict the return of Christ. It ain't going to happen. Nobody can predict it. So, let's talk about possible alien invasion. There was a video I watched. I've replied to it, and I'm sure a lot of you know. And but anyways, this guy's title says August 26, 2012, yet the whole video is about August 12th. But either way, I kind of missed that part, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm typing. I didn't even watch the video, and I read a few comments too before as I was typing. So anyways, it is now let me think, August 27th. and still no alien invasion. Okay, so he said it was possible. Do you know what? There's no way that individual would know either. You know, the mere speculation. Probably compiled a bunch of crap off of YouTube and a bunch of crap off other websites and said, oh, this looks plausible. And a lot of people do that. Now, I'm not saying the guy did it, you know, but I'm saying there's a lot of crap on the internet and you can't believe everything you see or read either, right? You know, it was, so anyway, so 27's here, still no alien invasion. Didn't think it was going to happen. Let's look at how the world is about to end in 2012, okay, on December 21st, possibly 23rd they're talking now. They got a couple of little dates there, but anywhere within the 3 days. Because the Mayans are accurate within 3 seconds, apparently. So anyways, they did find another Mayan calendar, by the way, so it does go past 2012. However, every single year, the year ends as we know it, life ends as we know it on December 31st, and on January 1st, we start all over again with a whole new year to do a whole pile of other crap that we want to do. Okay, so life always changes, period. We move into a new age, whatever it may be. You know, we got one world order stuff coming up, we got one world currency stuff coming up, you know, and a lot of people are looking at, okay, what are the good points and bad points about all that, you know. Alien invasion, though, not going to happen. I don't believe it's going to happen anytime soon, let me put it that way. And if there is any truth to, and it is very highly probable, mind you, that there is truth to the fact that governments around the whole world, not just the Americans, have been hiding and using ETs for advancements for us and for themselves, especially themselves. You know, if there was going to be an attack, it would have happened thousands of years ago. If there was going to be an attack, it would have happened the other day, if it was possible to even happen. The thing is the chances of that happening are pretty slim to none, because we are still not advanced enough to fend off any advanced alien race. Any alien race that can make their butt to our planet has definitely got the advantage, okay? So we have no advantage whatsoever, and that's a fact, okay? Unless, of course, the aliens that are here now helping our governments out, they have weapons that we don't know about yet, and of course that may come out in the wash anyway. So maybe we're being prepped. But as far as the general public goes, there's nothing, okay? We got nothing. So, you also got a lot of conspiracy stories on the internet about depopulation. Now think about this. What would be an awesome way to depopulate the planet and not be blamed for it? Okay, here would be my idea. Stage an alien invasion. Okay, people are bugging way too much for info nowadays, especially with all the abductions and everything else, the stuff on the internet. It's getting too dicey, okay? So, stage an alien invasion, annihilate a good percentage of the population, and then all of a sudden either they leave just because they want to, or the tables turn and we start kicking their butt, or at least it looks that way to us, and we figure, oh, we fended them off. But really they just, in the night sky, they just zip their way back into wherever they come from, whether it be Area 51 or wherever in China, Russia, or Istanbul, or whatever. Okay, and we all are none the wiser, okay? And meanwhile, they get their accomplishment of depopulating the world without getting in shit for it, or being able to be blamed for it, you know, which puts all these other scenarios to shame, okay? And of course, the remaining of the people that are left will still know that yes, aliens are real and apparently they're bad guys, which would keep with the whole synopsis of who? Stephen Hawking, who says that if we ever did make contact, that it would go bad. And it's too late to stop transmitting into outer space, because we've been doing it all along, ever since the first satellite or the first radio signal went out, period, from us. They knew we were in the neighborhood, so it's way too late. Plus, of course, we have Voyager up there with this little, you know, platinum record or whatever it is, you know, telling the little aliens, hey, come by and drop in and see us sometime. Boy, was that stupid, right? So, you know, I mean, I would personally think that if there are alien beings on the planet now that have been helping us out, and it seems pretty obvious they have, Look at the last 100 years alone. Never mind going back 2, 3, 4, 500 years or even 5,000 years. Look at the last 100 years, period, even before Roswell. So 40 years before Roswell. Look at where we were then. Look at what we've achieved in 100 years that we should have been able to achieve thousands of years ago. Okay? Which is why I don't believe we've done all of this all by our selfies. Okay? Now, genetically engineering humans and making humans smarter and smarter, that's a no-brainer. That's a real easy thing to accomplish, okay? And that has actually been going in practice for a long time, okay, from what I've read and understood. And basically the way it works to make smarter and smarter people, you know, isn't so much feeding them a book and saying, here's an education, do well. It's all about you take a very smart male and a very smart female, get them to mate, they create an even smarter child. That child grows up, becomes a man or a woman, they get with another man or a woman that is equal to them, or maybe slightly a little smarter, okay, and they create yet a super baby, okay? And this is how things go on, because if you combine an average person with a below average person, you kind of get about a maybe an average person. You know, if you take average and average, you get average or a little above average, right? So it's how it all works. It's all genetics. So nobody's actually born a genius, because that's actually impossible. The only way you can be born a genius is if you were genetically manipulated to begin with. And the way you genetically manipulate, one way, is getting the two really super smart people, and you create super babies. Okay, now you can look that up all you want. I challenge you, you know, to look up anything that I'm saying, and just to see where it sits with you after that. So, because I'm not saying that this is this and this is this and this is this. Okay, I'm just saying these are things I'm throwing out there to you, my little thoughts on things too, and whatnot. But let's go back and look at the astronomers who couldn't figure anything out that was in the night skies a couple hundred years ago, and you know, they're the only thing flying up that time were air balloons, right? So you got the air balloons. Air balloons aren't going vroom 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 vroom, okay? They're actually going real damn slow, okay? And so think about that, and they're not lit up in these blues and yellows and reds and any other color under the sun that had been described. Look at all the abductions that have been going on. Now let's say, okay, a lot of them are probably really fake. Some of this stuff under hypnosis could perhaps be faked. I agree with that, you know, but there is some percentage that I think is authentic. It's just hard to figure out what is authentic and what's not authentic. Now, it's pretty simple and clear that the video that's on YouTube that has the leaked coverage of the interview with a Gray at the Area 51 complex, that is pretty simple and easy to say that's been faked. Because A, it's been up there for a long time, and I know the government snoops into everything, especially the American government. So if they had a problem with that video being up there, it would be gone, and that YouTube user would probably be nailed for treason, theft, and whatever else, okay? So that obviously has not happened. Same thing with other leaked videos and stuff, as they call them. Totally bogus stuff. You know, I've watched a few videos lately on these apparent dead alien Gray they have on a table that's got tinfoil covered over it, type of thing. Total fake. You look at it real close, it's a fake. The guy who said that an alien ate his dog's face off or ripped his dog's face apart, blah blah blah, and he killed the damn thing with a stone. Okay, and of course you saw the obelisk ship in the background, which they proved on UFO Hunters. All this was faked, right? The guy's still sticking to his story that it's all real, but you know what I'd like to know? Why is he not in the custody of the government? Why has he not been checked for radiation poisoning? And where is the body? Okay, and so you got to look at that too. Because anytime an alien would be involved, I don't care if it's dead or alive, the government on your doorstep, okay? And you are not putting that on YouTube, okay? Especially considering they want to keep this stuff a lid on it anyway. Now, here's the next thing to think about. A video from Michio Kaku, who says that we should not know about any UFOs or aliens that the government has had or still has and gets their hands on. Okay, we should know any of this stuff. We don't deserve to know, and it would be a bad thing for us to know. I don't think it'd be a bad thing, because really, I mean, what are they afraid of? Religion falling apart? Hell, I mean, look at the way it is right now today. Do you really think the religions are going to fall apart by the governments around the world giving us proof of these aliens? Hell no. It's just simple. We meet them, we can hang out with them. Hey, it'd be great. We'd all get along better, and I bet you we'd advance even further. And we'd be able to colonize planets a lot easier because, hey, we could move the population instead of killing off the population, move the population to other planets with the help of extraterrestrials. That would be a practical way of doing things. Although I'm sure there's some people that would still freak rate the hell out. And, but hey, for the percentage of people, you got 7 billion people on this planet, okay? How many people do you think are really going to freak rate the hell out? Okay, not that many overall. Especially when you consider there's a couple billion of us as it is that really want the truth out, and the truth deserves to be out. It's owed to the human race for this truth to be out. And think of it this way, we stuck these guys in their jobs and their offices to begin with, and we trust them, but yet we really can't trust them, can we? They can't tell us the truth at elections because the best lie gets in, right? And what do they do when they get into office? Very, very little. And anything that's really important, they usually never do, right? So that's where I ask you, if they all of a sudden decide, okay, well, buckle under, here's all the paperwork, here's all the videos, here's all the friggin' pictures we have, blah, blah, blah. Are you going to take that at face value? I'd be saying, I want a meeting. Okay, let's go to McDonald's with these guys or whatever, type of thing. Or get a whole whack load of their cruiser ships, all around the planet. Kind of like, when the Talons showed up in a sense. Of course, they got the mothership. Then they got the other little ships around. But look at the Talons, right? They're known throughout the entire world. Okay, now this is TV, granted, but same scenario. This is what the government should be doing for their disclosure. You're saying, okay, here you go. Now let's all band together, do this. And you're still going to have a lot of people that aren't going to like aliens too much, and that's never going to change. You're not going to change that in 10,000 years from now, okay? But for the percentage, it's worth the risk, I think. That's my opinion anyway. Anyhow, lots of stuff for you guys to think about and look into. And we'll see you in the next video. So, feel free to leave your comments. If you got any questions, something I may not have covered, whatever, feel free, and we'll discuss it. And we'll see you in the next video for sure. Okay, bye.